The ceremony will begin momentarily. Please silence your cell phones at this time. Good morning and welcome to the graduation ceremony for the 174th class of the Montana Law Enforcement Officer Basic Course. My name is Jeff Wilson. I'm one of the training officers for the course. At this time, will you please rise for the presenting of the colors by the Lewis and Clark County Sheriff's Office Honor Guard, a national anthem performed by Montana Highway Patrol Lieutenant Larry Irwin, and the invocation given by Chaplain Chris Thompson of the Lewis and Clark County Sheriff's Office.
Please join me in prayer. Almighty God, we ask your blessing on this graduation ceremony of Law Enforcement Basic 174. Thank you for the noble ambition and diligent work that has brought these officers to this day. Thank you for the administration, faculty, and staff of the Montana Law Enforcement Academy who have labored to prepare these officers, and for the family and loved ones who have supported them. You are the author of liberty and responsibility. We thank you for these officers before you. We depend upon them to preserve those liberties. So bless and keep these officers in this vital career. God bless Montana and God bless America. With respect toward all religions, I pray in Jesus' name, amen. Please be seated.
Thank you, Chaplain Thompson. Lieutenant Irwin, and the Lewis and Clark County Sheriff's Office Honor Guard. At this time, I would ask that we all pause for a moment of silence to honor all those officers before us that have made the ultimate sacrifice and lost their lives in their call to duty. Thank you. Would you please be seated? On behalf of the Montana Department of Justice family and members of the graduating class, we thank you for being here with us today. I would also like to extend a special welcome to the sheriffs, chiefs, and all law enforcement officers who are here with us to celebrate this occasion. It is now my pleasure to introduce our special guest for today's ceremony, Attorney General Austin Knudsen, Mr. Brian Lockerbie, Administrator for the Division of Criminal Investigations, Mr. Glenn Steiner, Administrator of the Montana Law Enforcement Academy, and Mr. Chris Thompson, Chaplain for the Lewis and Clark County Sheriff's Office. I would also like to introduce or mention the members of the Montana Law Enforcement Academy staff who, without their hard work and dedication, none of this could happen. Our support staff, Ms. Deborah Murray, Mr. Steve Slocum, Mr. David Pellin, and Mr. Matthew Gorman. Our training staff, officers, Mr. Mike McCarthy, Mr. David Ortley, Ms. Rebecca Strait, Mr. Mike Dale, Mr. Scott Sterlin, Mr. Brian Fisher, Ms. Natalie Adorney, Mr. Griff Sutherland, Ms. Tanya Racky, Mr. Bruce Parks, and Montana Highway Patrol Sergeant Zach Freeman. As we proceed today, I welcome family members and friends to take photographs. Please refrain from coming forward to the last row where the graduates are seated. I would now ask Administrator Steiner to come forward for his opening remarks.
Well, thanks, Jeff. To the graduates, we're here this morning to formally acknowledge your success in completing the Montana Law Enforcement Academy's Law Enforcement Officer Basic Course. As always, I'd like to thank the Academy's amazing staff and adjunct instructors from across the state for getting us to today, the agencies who saw something special in hiring each of you, and the families who carried the load while you were gone. On the first day of class, I mentioned two things. If you would be the person you said you were when you interviewed for the job, we would get along just fine. And that the day we were all working toward was the day you graduated and went back to work. First, I'd like to thank each of you for being good stewards of the agencies who hired you and displaying the behaviors and attitudes that they will now expect from you when you return to work. Secondly, I'd like to remind you that the day we had all been working toward is now here. Over the last 13 weeks, we've talked about and practiced many things that have hopefully prepared you for what lies ahead. Graduations are one final opportunity for us as a staff to provide our thoughts about the course. So, on behalf of staff, I'd like to share some advice that will help each of you in continuing your professional and personal growth. Resiliency is the most important gift you can give yourself. It's more than the ability to withstand the stressors of your work environment. It's about having the capacity to understand and accept that the unexpected is part of life and to always be mentally and physically prepared for it. Resiliency is about transparency and honesty in how we perform our duties and trusting those we work with and for. It's also about believing we are doing what we were always meant to do. Do these things and your time at work and away from it will be more rewarding. Vision is the ability to see things for what they could be, understand what your agency's vision is for your community, and be an active part in promoting the work that will get you all there. Vision is also about the promises you make to yourself and maybe to others about where you will be personally and professionally as you progress through your careers. Keep those promises as they are a part of the fruits of your labors. Lastly, communication. Communication builds trust, is the foundation of everything we do in public safety, and has been the central theme of our time together. If you look at people as problems instead of people with problems, you'll never be able to communicate with them with empathy and understanding. We all owe some personal success, at least in part, to someone else who said the right thing at the right time. You now have the opportunity every day to be that person for others. My predecessor, Kevin Olson, is retiring this week after a long and distinguished public service career. His resume includes Chief of Police, Academy Administrator, and State Probation and Parole Administrator. I think it's important we honor Kevin's legacy by reflecting on something he truly believed in. Kevin would typically share a story around this time of year that is worth repeating today. The story and advice from a man not in law enforcement, yet recognized by his peers for his greatness. In 1983, North Carolina State University won the NCAA Men's Basketball Championship, one of the most coveted and prestigious titles in all of college sports. The Wolfpack, as they were named, a team of just average talent, was selected for the tournament and all but written off as having no chance of making it to the final rounds, let alone winning the title. Their coach was a man named Jim Valvano. Valvano recognized that what his team lacked in talent, they excelled at in heart and determination. Valvano knew that if he could keep his team believing, then they could ultimately compete and capture the all-too-elusive championship title. And with his motivation and enthusiasm and their perseverance and determination, they did just that. 9 years later, Jim Valvano was diagnosed with terminal cancer, and despite all the medical treatment and his own mental will to survive, cancer ultimately took his life in April 1993. 1 month prior to his death, he was presented with the Arthur Ashe Award of Courage. Valvano's remarks included advice for the 3 things that everyone should do each and every day of their lives. He said, "To me, there are 3 things we all should do every day. We should do this every day of our lives. Number 1 is laugh. You should laugh every day. Number 2 is think. You should spend time in thought every day. Number three is you should have your emotions move to tears. Could be joy or happiness. But think about it. If you laugh, you think, and you cry, that's a full day. That's a heck of a day. You do that 7 days a week, you're going to have something special." Kevin urged all of us, and now you today, to enjoy your life and the precious moments you have, to spend each day with some laughter and some thought, to get your emotions going even if it results in tears, and to be enthusiastic each and every day. Careers much like this basic course pass before our eyes quickly. Eventually there will be a last shift, last call, last time we wear the uniform we have worked so hard to get and keep. I'd like to acknowledge one other person in the audience today, Chief David Bowen with the Great Falls Police Department. Chief is up in the audience. He will be retiring this Friday after a distinguished career. Please join me in a round of applause for Chief Bowen. To the graduates, your time to make a difference has begun. The character of your service as a peace officer, like that of Kevin Olson's and Chief Dave Bowen's, will become part of Montana's public safety history before you know it. For today, though, it's now my honor and extreme pleasure to inform each of you that you've met the requisites and requirements as dictated by law and promulgated by rule for issuance of your diploma as a certification of your completion of the Law Enforcement Officer Basic Course. On behalf of the Academy staff, I'd like to wish you well in your careers and invite you to stop by from time to time and share the amazing stories of your life with us. It's now my pleasure to introduce Montana's Attorney General, General Austin Knudsen.
Good morning and welcome. I'm Attorney General Austin Knudsen. It's my honor to be here with you for my first Montana Law Enforcement Academy basic graduation ceremony. To the instructors and the staff of MLEA, thank you for all the time and effort you invested into these fine men and women.
Thank you for imparting your experience and wisdom on them as they embark on the noble calling of public service. Thank you as well to the families and friends of Class 174. Today's graduates couldn't have done this without you, and they're going to need your support going forward if they're going to be the best officers that they can be. As Attorney General and head of the Montana Department of Justice, I wear many hats because the Department of Justice has numerous responsibilities keeping Montanans safe and protecting their rights. Working with law enforcement officers is by far one of the most important hats that I wear. I sought this job as Attorney General because I wanted to make Montana a safer place to live, to work, and to raise a family. As a former county prosecutor in Roosevelt County, Montana, I witnessed the devastation that methamphetamine, trafficked into our state by Mexican cartels, is causing to our communities. Methamphetamine is a poison that is tearing apart families and communities. It's causing crime to surge in our state, including a nearly 50% increase in violent crime in the last few years alone. Law enforcement officers have always been an important part of our state, but Montanans need you all now more than ever. You work for different agencies, and when you leave here to serve in your duty stations, you will each have unique responsibilities. But you've trained together, and that's not by accident. Other states will train different types of officers separately, but that's not how we do it here in Montana. Among the states, Montana has one of the smallest populations spread out among one of the largest geographic areas. This has significant implications for how you all do your jobs. Some of you will be patrolling sparsely populated areas. A call for help might take you to a place where backup is too far away to make a difference when things get dicey. Some of you might find yourself in a situation where the closest backup is from another agency. In the course of your duties, the nature of a crime might mean that investigation requires cross-agency collaboration. There will come a time when you must work together to protect public safety in Montana, and that's why you've all trained together. It's our hope that each of you emerges from the academy with working relationships with your fellow officers and other agencies. We also hope that you continue to cultivate these partnerships and friendships in the years ahead. I know that you're more than ready to meet the challenges, known and unknown, that are waiting for you as law enforcement officers. You'll be responsible for whether the people you encounter can enjoy their lives and freedoms in this special place we call home. But unfortunately, crime knows no boundaries, and criminals are getting bolder every day. You're going to face additional scrutiny, often hostility toward law enforcement in a way that previous generations of law enforcement officers simply haven't. Driven by special interest groups and the media, it manifests itself with slogans such as defund the police and abolish the police. Then it turns into political attacks on law enforcement, such as federal legislation to remove qualified immunity for officers doing their best to act within the bounds of the law and their duty. You all knew this when you answered the call to public service, but you decided to press on anyway. So when Montanans see your badge, they know you have their back. And as Attorney General, I want each and every one of you to know that I have your back. And Montanans have your back as well, because this is a state that values law enforcement. When you leave here today, you'll head to your stations in Miles City, Browning, Hamilton, and many other towns across this state. Some of you will serve in rural areas where long distances complicate response times. Others will be based in areas that present their own unique challenges, such as some of Montana's largest cities. But by being here today, you've proven that you are up to these challenges. Thank you again to your families, your friends, your instructors, but most importantly, thank you for choosing a career in law enforcement in the great state of Montana. Congratulations, and be safe, all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Administrator Steiner and Attorney General Knudsen. At this time, it is our custom to introduce officers who have achieved individual honors during their participation in the 174th class of the Law Enforcement Officer Basic Course. Attorney General Knudsen will be presenting these awards. The Jeff Douglas Health and Physical Fitness Award is given to the officer in each class that achieves the best score of the class as a whole on the Montana Physical Abilities Test. This award is given in honor of Jeff Douglas, a former Montana Highway Patrol trooper and dedicated fitness training officer at the Montana Law Enforcement Academy. Along with this award is a tuition scholarship to attend the Academy's Law Enforcement MPAT Proctor course. The recipient of the Health and Physical Fitness Award for Class 174 is Stephen Huskins, Billings Police Department. The Alan Kimmery Award is given to the officer in recognition of outstanding marksmanship by displaying excellence and the highest ranking in firearms training through marksmanship, safety, tactical proficiency, and the coaching of peers. This award is given in memory of Deputy Alan Kimmery of the Missoula County Sheriff's Office. Along with this award is a tuition scholarship to attend the Academy's Firearms Instructor course. The recipient of the Alan Kimmery Award for Class 174 is Cole Chandler, Montana Department of Livestock. The Josh Rutherford Award is given to an officer in each class that exceeds in performance through mastering the skills associated with defensive tactics. This award is given in memory of Deputy Josh Rutherford. Deputy Rutherford was a deputy sheriff for the Blaine County Sheriff's Office and an adjunct defensive tactics instructor for the Montana Law Enforcement Academy. Along with this award is a tuition scholarship for the Academy's Defensive Tactics Instructor course. The recipient of the Josh Rutherford Award for Class 174 is Andrew Burton, Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks. The Jimmy Carroll Award is given to the officer in each class that has displayed outstanding scholastic achievement by obtaining the highest combined overall score in all academic areas. This award is given in memory of retired Sheriff Jimmy Carroll of the Fergus County Sheriff's Office. The recipient of the Jimmy Carroll Award for Class 174 is Kayla Weisar, Missoula Police Department. The Glenn Janes Award is given to the officer in each class who demonstrates the highest level of proficiency in the police vehicle operations course. This award is given in honor of Trooper Glenn Janes. Trooper Janes served many years honorably as a trooper for the Montana Highway Patrol and an adjunct driving instructor for the Montana Law Enforcement Academy. Along with this award is a tuition scholarship for the Academy's Police Vehicle Operations Instructor course. The recipient of the Glenn Janes Award for Class 174 is Thomas Sue, Valley County Sheriff's Office. The Alex Mavity Award is given to the officer in each class who has achieved the highest cumulative score on all academic and skill-based training modules. This includes a combination of academics, firearms, driving, defensive tactics, Montana Physical Abilities Test, scenario-based training, and weekly performance evaluations. This award is given in memory of Detective Alex Mavity of the Billings Police Department. The recipient of the Alex Mavity Award for Class 174 is Steele Kelly, Park County Sheriff's Office. The Paul Williams Award winner is selected by their peers and given to the officer in each class who has provided great inspiration to the staff and students through their display of unwavering dedication and never-ending determination. The award is given in memory of the late Sheriff Paul Williams of the Choteau County Sheriff's Office. In Fort Benton, there is a plaque that honors Sheriff Williams, which reads, "Service above all else except honor." The recipient of the Paul Williams Award for Class 174 is Kenny Hamilton, Deer Lodge Police Department. The Joe May Award winner is selected by their peers and given to the officer of each class for displaying exceptional leadership and an incredible sense of motivation. This award is given in remembrance of the late Joe May. Mr. May served as the Assistant Public Service Director for what was then known as Montana State College. He is one of several people credited with the creation of the Montana Law Enforcement Academy. The recipient of the Joe May Award for Class 174 is Jordan Woodvine, Billings Police Department. The Jack Wiseman Award is given in tribute to Mr. Jack Wiseman, who served for over 22 years as a training officer and administrator for the Montana Law Enforcement Academy. The winner is selected by their peers as the most outstanding officer of the class as a whole, based upon officers' display of exceptional professionalism by demonstrating an exemplary attitude and outstanding achievement in leadership, academics, health, and fitness and survival skills. The recipient of the Jack Wiseman Award for Class 174 is Kayla Weisar, Missoula Police Department. For the officers of Class 174, this is the part of the ceremony you've been looking forward to for 12 weeks. The presentation of your diplomas marks the conclusion of your education and training with us and serves as the highlight of today's ceremony. It signals the end of one phase of your career and the beginning of another. I would once again ask that Attorney General Knudsen present these officers their diplomas. I would further ask that you hold your applause until the last officer has received their diploma.
Class 174, attention! Right face.
Daniel Lashinsky. Livingston Police Department. Joshua Leal. Motor Carrier Services. Marcus Lindquist. Missoula Police Department. Blake Lindstedt. Anaconda Deer Lodge County Law Enforcement. Andre Lugo. Cascade County Sheriff's Office. Tara Lynn Matthews. Broadwater County Sheriff's Office. Taylor Matthews. Phillips County Sheriff's Office. Killian Mayo. Yellowstone County Sheriff's Office. Jacob McMahill. Judith Basin County Sheriff's Office. Joshua Meyer. Missoula County Sheriff's Office. David Miller. Wheatland County Sheriff's Office. Michael Miller. Troy Police Department. Canyon Miwa. Daniels County Sheriff's Office. Michael Palumbo. East Helena Police Department. Mackenzie Ranger. Missoula Police Department. Andrew Britton. Great Falls Police Department. Jacob Ross. Manhattan Police Department. Jordan Cedar, Helena Police Department. Aaron Skumka, Blackfeet Law Enforcement. Vincent Smith, Columbia Falls Police Department. Kenton Stradinger, Rosebud County Sheriff's Office. Davin Thorne, Montana Fish, Wildlife and Parks. Remington Timothy, Sheridan County Sheriff's Office. Megan Vineyard, Motor Carrier Services. Sean Vizentine, Mineral County Sheriff's Office. Christopher Wagner, Motor Carrier Services. Justin Walker, Broadwater County Sheriff's Office. Laura Walker, Yellowstone County Sheriff's Office. Kayla Weissar, Missoula Police Department. Mark Williams, Lake County Sheriff's Office. Thorin Wilson, Whitefish Police Department. Richard Woods, Sanders County Sheriff's Office. Jordan Woodvine, Billings Police Department.
Congratulations to all the officers of the Law Enforcement Officer Basic Class 174. It is now my pleasure to introduce to you the class representative for Class 174, Thomas Sue.
They told me, don't worry, it's COVID. I won't be there. I first want to start by thanking everyone that came out here to support your sister or brother or partner or son or daughter, whoever. And I want to thank you in advance for continuing to support them in the future, because I know there's going to be times when it's not particularly easy. Next, I want to thank all the TOs for working as hard as they do to make Academy work. There was one day when we had our search warrant scenarios, and my squad got out pretty late, probably 6 o'clock or so. And that night we were all going to go to dinner, so we go back to the dorms, and I'm getting dolled up. People are showering. Everyone's ready. It's finally like 6:45, 7 o'clock. And we're leaving the Academy gates, and I look over, and T.O. Wortley is still, like, putting evidence away and loading his car and cleaning. And I'm thinking, dang, that's a long day, man. Like, there's a man that really cares. But it's not just him, it's all the TOs. We have ups and downs during class, but they all truly care, and they all put in long days to make Academy happen. And I want them to know from the bottom of my heart and from all the students that we really appreciate you. So please help me give them a hand of applause. Next, I want to thank the administrator, Glenn Steiner, for genuinely being interested in how the students are doing, for addressing the issues that we had really promptly. And, you know, although he's a really busy guy, he still made time every Friday to have breakfast with us, so we had like a direct line of communication, and I think that's awesome. So thank you, administrator. And lastly, this might make me kind of unpopular, but and probably none of them are here, but I want to thank the cafeteria folks. Because honestly, it's probably pretty hard to feed this many people, and they tried really hard to keep us happy. So thank you, Chris and Dustin and Jake and the rest of the crew. Anyway, before this starts to sound like I won a country music award with all the thank yous, I'll move on. So, woo! We made it, guys. 3 months. That I could say that they just flew by, but they didn't, did they? But I want to share a couple memories that I'm going to remember from my time here. So, before I got here, I was told that T.O. Wilson would be the biggest jerk that I would ever like. Do you guys want to know what the first words he said to me were? So I've probably been here 7 minutes. I walk in the front doors of the office, and I was like, oh, he looks pretty nice. I better ask him this question. So I do. And he looks at me with a really sarcastic grin. like that one. And he says, don't ask stupid questions. Can you read? Okay, then what does that say? That wasn't the end of the conversation, but you get where that's going. I know now that's just T.O. Wilson's way of showing affection. I'm going to rattle off a couple other memories. So do you guys remember that pizza during week 2 that was like cheese and 1 pepperoni on a piece of cardboard? Range week in negative 32-degree weather, and T.O. Dale's nose looking like he was going to fall off from frostbite. Stevens PowerPoint-induced narcolepsy. Although in your defense, Steven, you're the only reason Colt and I made it to the gym at 4 in the morning every day. The glint in T.O. Sutherland's eye on mornings when he knows he's going to shoot someone with sim rounds. Then there's 2 different quotes by T.O. McCarthy, but I was told I can't say them out loud because of language, but you guys know what they are. And then there's a couple memorable quotes by D Squad, but I definitely can't say those here. And lastly, and anyone who was in the upstairs class will probably get a kick out of this. So when it's midweek, it's the end of the day, everybody wants to go home, and the TO asks, does anyone have any questions? And you can bet Steele or Dan are raising their hand, right? In their defense, they always ask the best questions though, so thank you. Okay, other than fun memories, though, I think it's important to reflect on our past times, because to some degree, they show us who we are, and they're a record of how we've performed. And that's part of the process of bettering ourselves, of becoming better people than we were yesterday. And that's what I want to briefly reflect on right now. It really has been a privilege to get to know a bunch of you over the past 3 months. It's been awesome to see each and every one of us grow, myself included. During our time here, we've become better leaders, better thinkers. I've seen guys who were once riddled with anxiety learn to become effective decision makers in stressful scenarios. I've seen people, not joking, shave 20 seconds off their MPAT time. That's a big deal. I've seen troops come together and study and then do really well on exams. And all of this during the unique circumstances that COVID creates. I know me personally, I'm going to leave here in better shape mentally and physically, and more confident in my ability to do my job. Some of you I've gotten to know really well, but I think I've gotten to know enough of you to say that most of us have overcome something in our lives to get here. I've met people who have had to overcome stuff like alcoholism, abusive relationships, being out of shape, fear, self-doubt, and a multitude of other things to get here. Everyone's had to work hard to be the best versions of themselves, otherwise we wouldn't be here. I just want to remind everyone that this is who we are now. We push ourselves to be better. We're going to continue to push ourselves every day of our careers. Some of those days we'll be tired, probably too tired to push ourselves. But on those days, I hope that we can manage to do it for our communities and for the people that love us. So 174, and really anyone who's an officer here, I want you to do something for me. Take a second and think back to the very first time you thought you might want to be a cop. However far back that is. Now, think of the person that you were back then. What you did for work or where you were in life. And finally, think of the person that you are now sitting here amongst your peers at your graduation. There's probably a big difference, right? I'm willing to bet that you put a lot of work to shape the person who you are now. So as we all leave Academy and go our separate ways, I want to promise you guys that I will continue to do my best in every aspect of my life, physically, emotionally, intellectually, and spiritually. And I make this promise to you in hopes that you will make the same promise to me and to your loved ones and to the communities that you will serve. 174, I never knew you could catch feelings for so many people in such a short amount of time. I think we've had a pretty rad 3 months. Just think about the friends you've made and the laughs that you've shared. No matter where we go, we're brothers and sisters now. I wish you all the very best in your careers. I hope that your officer safety never fails you. I hope your training always keeps you safe. I hope you guys never have to draw your weapon without reason. I hope you never holster it without honor. I hope you never find pain from which you can't recover. I hope that your badge never becomes too burdensome, and that if it does, you find the strength to ask for help. I hope this calling that you have so nobly answered guides your life for good, builds you up, lights your way when things are dark, fills you with pride, and gives as much to you as you're prepared to give to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy that Assistant Attorney General David Ortley come forward to administer the Criminal Justice Code of Ethics. Traditionally, we've had all law enforcement in attendance rise and affirm the Code of Ethics. Today, we will only have law enforcement officers of Basic 174 rise and affirm the Code of Ethics, which will allow each officer to individually state their names. I now ask that the officers of Class 174 rise and affirm the Code of Ethics.
Class 174, attention!
Class 174, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, affirm my fundamental responsibility as a public safety officer is to serve the community, safeguard lives and property, protect the innocent, keep the peace, and ensure the constitutional rights of all are not abridged. I will perform all duties impartially, without favor or ill will, and without regard to status, sex or race, religion or creed, political belief or aspiration. I will treat all citizens equally, and with courtesy, consideration, and dignity. I will never allow personal feelings, animosities, or friendships to influence my official conduct. I will enforce or apply all laws and regulations appropriately, courteously, and responsibly. I will never employ unnecessary force or violence, and will only use such force in the discharges of my duties as is objectively reasonable in the circumstances. I will refrain from applying unnecessary infliction of pain or suffering, and will never engage in cruel or degrading or inhuman treatment. Whatever I see, hear, or learn, which is of a confidential nature, I will keep in confidence, unless the performance of a duty or legal provision requires otherwise. I will not engage in, nor will I condone, any acts of corruption, bribery, or criminal activity, and will disclose to the appropriate authorities all such acts. I will refuse to accept any gifts, favors, gratuities, or promises that could be interpreted as favor, or cause me to refrain from performing my official duties. I will strive to work in unison with all legally authorized agencies and their representatives in the pursuit of justice. I will be responsible for my professional development and will take reasonable steps to improve my level of knowledge and competence. I will at all times ensure that my character and conduct is admirable. It will not bring discredit to my community, my agency, or my chosen profession. Thank you.
Please be seated. Thank you, Assistant Attorney General Orley. Please join me in congratulating the officers of the 174th class of the Law Enforcement Officer Basic Course. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our graduation ceremony. We thank you for being with us today on this momentous occasion. I ask that the audience remain seated until the last of these officers have been dismissed. To the graduates of Class 174, on behalf of Attorney General Austin Knudsen, Administrator Brian Lockerbie, Chaplain Chris Thompson, Administrator Glenn Steiner, and the entire MLEA staff, we wish each of you health, happiness, and success in all you do in your new careers as law enforcement professionals. Thank you.